Look at this. It's one of those Cyberpunk pictures that you can hear. Hello, I'm Arasaka Ball. This is one of Cyberpunk's loading screens. There's two types of them. One is based on your campaign progress and plays when you load a save off the main menu. It consists of 3 shots pertaining to the mission you last completed and is accompanied by a world-building voiceover. The game's a bit funny in the way it executes these. It uses the loading screen from the most recent save played instead of the one currently being loaded. The other plays when you load a save while in-game or when fast traveling. This shows a series of images from the open world. Given that the game doesn't require loading screens during actual gameplay, you might not encounter these that often. But all of these shots are from locations in-game. So I tried my best to find all these places, and in this video, I'll be showing you not only the campaign ones, but also those tooltip fast travel ones. Let's start with the campaign. If you start a new game, it's a generic one with the game's logo. That runs through the prologue. Once you're done with the prologue and enter Act 1 of the game, you'll get the apartment one. This features 3 shots of V's apartment in Mega Building H10. Not much to explain here. The most notable difference is the radio facing the wrong way, as well as the samurai jacket being there already. The circle stool is also in the middle of the room instead of next to the long stand. Next, we have the Landfill loading screen that begins playing after the heist. This shows 3 shots of the landfill where V wakes up after getting shot by Dex. The first shot is on the way to the area where Dex gets shot by Takamura. The next shot is farther up the trash heap to the left from the last shot, but to the right on the map. It's around the area where V wakes up initially before being dragged to Takamura. The loading screen picture shows the same guy in the last shot watching TV again, but this is pretty far from the last area, so did he drag the TV over there? Also, there appears to be a busted billboard that says Rocky Ridge on the left. That does not appear in-game. The final shot was a bit difficult to find, and I'm still not sure I got the right spot. It's closer to the fast travel terminal, which is quite a ways away from the previous 2 areas. In the loading screen, a gorilla arm is sticking out of some debris, and I have no idea where that would be, but I believe the detailing has changed in the area. It looks pretty close at least. Act 2 can be done in the order of your choosing, so this next loading screen isn't necessarily chronologically next, but I'll present it first, which is the one after Life During Wartime. This one depicts the Kang AV crash site after V and Pan Am raid it and save Mitch. This spot is in the Badlands near the Tango Tours Motel terminal. The cluster of rocks is actually modeled on the map, so it should be easy to find. Unfortunately, returning to the area later on does not have the Kang AV there, as it has been removed and some new Kang soldiers have arrived to secure the area. The bit of debris that you and Pan Am can sit on during the mission is still there. The screenshots are pretty self-explanatory, although without the AV for comparison. It's not exactly an easy one-to-one. I feel like the last picture is quite different from the in-game site, especially since it uses the old Dogtown before it was remodeled for Phantom Liberty. The next Act 2 loading screen plays after completing Transmission, the final Voodoo Boys quest. It shows a series of shots from their Netrunning Den in the abandoned Maglev tunnel under the church in Pacifica. The pictures can all be replicated pretty closely, although one of the Netrunning chairs appears to be rotated less. Returning to the Den also has normal TV programming and ads instead of the Dr. Paradox pirate cast. The final Act 2 loading screen is the one I showed at the top of the video, which features the inside of the warehouse at Arasaka Industrial Park. This is located in Santo Domingo in case you've forgotten. It plays after abducting Hanako, which is interesting because by that point the parade floats are long gone out of the warehouse, while in the shots they are still there along with the NCPD conducting an investigation. So these images likely take place shortly after Gimme Danger, but before the mission Play It Safe. Despite the parade floats being gone, you can still kinda match up the angles, and there are certain distinct elements of the photos that are present in-game. That brings us to the ending loading screens. First up, we have one for the Star or Aldecaldo ending. This features shots from the mining site featured in the Forward to Death mission. The mining site is just out of bounds to the top right of Westbrook. Unfortunately, I don't have a save with this ending completed, so the mining site is still in the default condition while the loading screen shows the aftermath of the raid. While you can find the spots of each photo, the thing that stands out the most is the large machine that hangs over the street. In the loading screen, it is placed closer to the far side. It seems that at some point they changed it to be more in the middle. Another final loading screen is one at the Afterlife. This one plays after a few endings, although I'm not sure exactly which ones. I do know it plays after or during Path of Glory, which can be attained through Don't Fear the Reaper and Rogue's ending. This one is fairly self-explanatory, and the only mystery spot is this couch area, which is around the corner from the entrance. Make a left as soon as you enter the club. I found these two images online that are apparently used during a loading screen for the ending where you take the Arasaka deal. I've never seen this, but I might have never reloaded into a save during that moment. Anyways, they're both shots of a patient chair aboard Arasaka Orbital, which I covered in my second Out of Bounds locations video. The location of the station itself is the actual mystery, so check out that video if you're interested. That covers the campaign loading into the game ones. Now it's time for the locations of the photos used during the in-game loading screens. These appear when you use fast travel or load a save while you're already in-game. I was able to find extractions of these online, and after grouping them together, something I noticed was that they all appeared to take place in Watson. This would also make sense as the rest of the map is locked until after the heist, so the loading screens wouldn't spoil anything. While that wasn't a guarantee, it certainly helped narrow down the search. This first one is fairly simple, which is an exterior shot of V's mega building. It's taken from the north of the building, about parallel with the Goldsmith Street terminal on the map. Up next is a foggy image of two soft sys buildings. I couldn't quite get the perspective right, but I believe the location of the image is located right beside Mega Building H11, pointed east. With the proper fog though, it looks pretty close, although the buildings in the background aren't visible. The most interesting thing about this one is that there are two rail tracks that pass by the building, while in-game there is only a single track. This one was a bit of a challenge to find, which was an image of a neon sign, a billboard, and some apartment buildings. This particular sign is used all over the place. Luckily, I realized that the building in the back here is a mega building. The location of this spot is close to the Kennedy North Terminal and faces Mega Building H11. This one features a bunch of wires running between two apartments. Fortunately, I was able to recognize this one pretty easily, and a number of you might as well, which is the site of the Regina gig backs against the wall. It's the one where you have to confront Corporal Hare. The apartments are on the corner of Columbus and Pinewood South. It's a bit hard to see in the loading screen, but there's a neon sign in the background that confirms the location. Next, we have an image of some concrete roadblocks adorned with red caution signs as well as a bright neon arrow. At first, I thought this was Jig Jig Street, but it's actually out front of the Ho-Oh Club by the Allen Street South Terminal. This is the location of the Monster Hunt gig. There are two loading screens in the Creek Loop area. The first was pretty easy to find as it distinctly is a corner near water. The photo appears to have been taken from inside the elevated walkway. This is the second Creek Loop shot, which was a bit more difficult to find. The karaoke sign was a good point of reference, and after zooming around I was able to find the spot also close to the Creek Loop terminal. This is one of Kabuki slums. At first it might be a bit hard to pinpoint, but once you realize that Mega Building H11 is once again lurking in the background, it makes it a lot easier to find. The picture also does you no favors by cutting out the slums part. Moving on to a series of screenshots from what appeared to be north side. The first one was fairly easy as it is Konpeki Plaza. The shot is taken on Martin Street, not far from the north side apartment terminal. This next one was a bit of a head scratcher as the sign did not have the distinct red glow, but using the large tower in the back, I was able to find this place on Industrial Street near the All Foods terminal. Then you've got this one with a bunch of pipes. It looks very industrial and the buildings in the back look like the previous one, so it seemed to be a north side also. Then it was a matter of lining up the towers in the back. This led to a spot behind Judy's apartment and the Charter Street terminal. The final north side one once again appeared to be fairly industrial looking, and featured a large factory as well as another one of those tall buildings. Also, the railings implied that this was the roof of something, and this did end up being on top of a silo. The closest point is the Goldsmith Street terminal. The final one here was definitely the hardest. A traffic light under a bridge. How on earth was I supposed to find this? Well, at least every other one has been in Watson so far, so that theory seemed to be working out. My plan ended up being, try to find a traffic light under something that looks like a bridge that also has a light to the right of it. And eventually, I found it. It's at the corner of Forbes and Pinewood. The streets aren't named on the map, but it would be cool if they were. Map-wise, the Kennedy North Terminal is pretty close. I think what I learned from finding this one is that a photo-based scavenger hunt for the game, sorta like that Balatro quest they added, would actually be pretty fun. Maybe I could find a way to set one up, like every week I take a screenshot of some random obscure spot on the map, then you guys try to find it in-game and take a selfie of your V at that spot. Phantom Liberty expectedly came with its own set of loading screens, both campaign related as well as random shots of Dogtown. So let's check them out. Unlike the ones in the base game, the loading screens for the story only feature one shot. The first one is actually easily missable as it will only play between the time you first meet Songbird and before the SF1 crashes. There's also an alternative version that plays if you choose to start a new game at Phantom Liberty. Instead of Hanson yapping, Johnny will provide a brief narration of some of the events the save state auto-completes for you. Anyways, this one is super easy to find in-game as the game leads you directly to the spot in order to begin the expansion. Next, we have an image of the Black Sapphire with the streets on fire following the chaos of the SF1 crash. This location is pretty close to where V gets crapped out of the giant slide out of the stadium. The next loading screen is one of the Black Sapphire in which Hanson discusses his big party. I can't remember if this plays as soon as you learn about the party or after you complete it. Regardless, this is taken from underneath the needle monolith that's in front of the Black Sapphire. Following Hanson's death in the mission Firestarter, you'll get a loading screen showing a disabled or destroyed Chimera. You can see Bargus working on it when Murphy first takes you through the stadium's lower levels. In-game, however, a majority of the lower area of the stadium is not rendered outside of the Firestarter mission. As you can see here, these are the lockers that you place your weapons in after arriving. So unfortunately you can't find this location, but in case you want to poke around, it would be somewhere around here on the map. Depending on which ending you choose, you'll get one of the two loading screens following the conclusion of each path. This first one is what you get for siding with Songbird during Firestarter, which leads to the Killing Moon as the final mission. The rocket in the loading screen appears to be the one that Songbird takes. Outside of the mission, regardless of who you sided with, there is a rocket docked at NCX. But it is notably missing the blue parts of the docking system, so it might just be for show or inactive. If the loading screen is the rocket Songbird uses, it would be at the second launch pad. As a result, this is also one you can't really find the location of. Should you side with Reed, you'll get this loading screen after completing Black Steel and the Hour of Chaos. It's a shot of Sinoshore's core where you end up at the very end of the mission. The Sinishore facility is located under the map in Pacifica, which makes sense as you normally make your way down there through legit means during the mission. Some of the area appears to have been despawned, as the bridge and catwalk surrounding the core is no longer there. While that concludes the campaign loading screens, Phantom Liberty also introduced a few fast travel tooltip ones. Once you reach the expansion, I believe these become more commonplace than the base game ones, even if you're traveling in Night City and not in Dogtown. They might even override the Watson ones entirely, but I haven't tested enough to be sure. There are 2 loading screens shot from the Longshore Stacks area of Dogtown. The first features a shot of the verticality of the stacks. It's pretty much right above the terminal and not that hard to find. The second is a shot looking upwards at some of the scrapers. You can also see the tower and bridge that you used during the gig prototype in the scraper. This one is a statue with a ball between the legs. The statue is up by the Eventide Resort and Spa, a ways away from the Terra Cognita terminal. While I was able to find the location pretty easily, I wasn't able to get the buildings to appear using the sandstorm filter. Next, we have an image that looks up the street after coming through the main gate. I don't know if the Dogtown streets are all named, but outside of the border, this street is called Sunset. This one is an abandoned helicopter taken over by nature in Luxor Heights. Behind it is the Heavy Hearts Club, making it pretty easy to locate. Lastly, we have 2 images from the stadium entrance on the Dogtown side. The first is along the steps leading up to the stadium. There's a large broken statue, a pile of cars, and holograms from Night City, making it easy to identify. The second shows the fronts of several of the tall scrapers. This is pretty close to the last spot, but faced towards the rest of Dogtown down the street. And there, at least per my records, is the location of every loading screen in-game. It was quite a fun hunt, I must admit. If there's any I have missed, please let me know in the comments. That does it for this video. Thanks for watching.